Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I've never done that before. So. All right, well, welcome to another 1 Million Cups, Westminster. I'm Graham Dodge from Magic here at Startup Portal. And let's thank our sponsors, including Startup Portal, for hosting, Magic as our community sponsor for coordinating all this, and Genie Bird Baking Company for providing the butterhorns, scones, and coffee this morning, which again, if you don't come out to join us in person, then you're missing out on the free Genie Bird Baking Company goods. I'm just going to run through real quick what 1 Million Cups Westminster is all about, and then we'll get on with our presentation today. So the mission of 1 Million Cups Westminster is to lower the barrier for access to education, resources, and connections for entrepreneurs. The mission does not get accomplished without the pillars in the core program, which are, this is about presentations and not pitches. It's about connections, not networking. The culture is to be for the community, by the community. Nobody owns 1 Million Cups Westminster. Nobody's being paid to do it. We're all volunteers. So, and we intend to be radically and intentionally inclusive. The core program is that we meet every week, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. whenever possible, to 9 to 10 a.m., 2 presenters whenever possible. Today we have 1 presenter. The organizations must be less than 5 years old and willing to ask for help. And we always end with the question of what can our community do to help you. This is our organizing team: myself, Russ Hammett, Vicki Slinkman from Ting, John Wheatman, attorney at law, Tina Thomas from Infinite Love Project, Julia Snap from Dirigible Systems, and Gabby Rose from Magic. All right, without further ado, let me pull up the website of the next presenter today, Mr. Brad Slinkman from Medical Alert MD. Brad, come on up.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Brad Slinkman with Medical Alert Systems in Maryland. Brief bio about our company is I come from the security side of things. We own Westminster Security. My sister is the president, so we are a legitimately run female-led organization. So from the security industry, one of the way I got into the medical side of things was in the 90s when I was in college. I had the most flexible time, so I was the one that handled putting in the medical alert units because they could be scheduled whenever, because usually the people were at home at all times. So it was just, I was more flexible, and I got into doing it. I must have put in thousands of these older units, and they were really cool back then. The older units were, it was a base unit tied to a phone line, and there was a very sensitive microphone in the unit. So if the customer fell, you could actually hear where you could hear them talking, or you could hear what was going on. It was pretty amazing back then. So I always loved that. It was a great product. And the other solution with these people is if they wanted to live at home, the medical alert system was like an insurance policy. You hope they never use it, but if you need it, it's there for you. The only alternative was to go into hospice or a nursing home. So this product was great because it allowed people to live at home and experience freedom. That being said, the technology was great back then, but as the 90s went on, in the 2000s, the advent of the cellular phone, I kind of got out of the industry a little bit. Coming from the security side of things, I don't put, especially as a small company, I don't make commission. So if I want to put in whatever is the best, because if you try to save $1 and put in something that's cheap, it either doesn't work, or then you've upset a customer and then you have to go back and fix it. Like, we service and everything we put in. So for me, it's always the best. This is the way I run. It's just a lot easier that way. So the medical alert technology in the early 2000s never progressed. You have people with smartphones and cellular phones, well, I'd say 2010s, and these units are still designed for 1995, the older ones, with the telephone line, and the technology, it just never progressed, and I got out of it because it doesn't work. Phone lines were going away. In the 90s, phone lines were all copper-based, so everything designed on a phone line would work perfectly, but as the addition of fiber and cellular, the voltage a lot changed, so the units weren't able to dial out. So I think it was 2020, I happened to stumble across this product. It's called the Bell, and this was a no-brainer once I figured out how it operated. So this is the unit. It has a breakaway, so which is nice. It's a cellular unit, so you can be anywhere in the United States that has cellular range, and this will work. So unlike the old systems, you're not confined to your home or garden, or mailbox. That was like the range. Now you can go anywhere. They don't say that there's GPS on this, but what they do is they triangulate the location to cellular towers. One of the things this company advertises is, it doesn't sound like much, but once you understand it, it does mean something. They are an authorized Verizon user, meaning that they have priority on the network over us. Like if you think back in 9/11, some of you weren't around then, but back then no one's mobile phones worked when this was going down because they shut off the consumer. So these guys have a priority, and that's how they're able to triangulate. So I'm not going to do it because demos never work, and as a demo customer, I don't have priority to a legitimate one. So I'd stay up here and kill time. But the way it works is you press the button in the system. It would call the central station. They'd ask you, they could talk to you, and and they can actually triangulate with their softwares where you are. So they within a few meters. So that, like if I were to press this now, they would be able. The paramedics would know, hey, I'm looking for someone within this radius. The unit functions beautifully. I've kept this. The first thing I do whenever I buy any piece of electronics before I sell it is I'm the guinea pig. So I had this off the charger. I charged it for 24 hours and I let it sit. It went for a better part of 6 months without having to be uncharged. A lot with the seniors, they don't want anything that's really complex. So some of the other units were, they were just too complex for some people. You had to use specialty batteries. You had to remember to charge it, and then you had to swap it, and it was a pain. This, you dump in the charger every 6 months, and it tells you to do it. It also texts the people on your call list. It sends them emails. Hey, your mother's pendant is 50%, time for a charge. And then once it gets to a 10% battery level, phone calls are being made every day to let them know that this isn't working. So it's nice because unlike the old ones, you put them in and you didn't know whether they worked again. From the security side, when I put a security panel in, I want to know that I could connect to it at any point and that it communicates regularly on a daily basis. My goal in life is to come to the customer with a problem, not the other way around. It's just a lot easier to say, you have a problem. Here's my solution than to have them come to you. So that being said, target marketing is obviously senior citizens, but or people that are homebound. I got into it because I like it. It's nice because you can help people, and it's easy. I mean, all you have to do, I mail these out overnight at mail. So, and it's a leased product. So if the customer has anything or the battery goes out, I just send them a new one. So that's about it in a nutshell. Any questions?
All right. Any questions for Brad?
So,
Tina?
yeah, as part of, did I hear correctly that this does or does not tie into the security side?
This does not.
Okay, it is a standalone?
This is a standalone unit. They make, on the security platforms, they make medical pendants you could wear, but then you're going back to, you have to be around, a wireless pendant only has a certain range from the panel. So if this is my house, I could only go maybe to the street and it stops working. And
is that like the, I've fallen and I can't get up commercial? Is that?
The next generation, yeah.
This is the next generation
right,
of that?
Of that, pretty much, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so, and when you say you're trying to hit your target market, are you trying to go directly to the consumer or to facilities that that
Very
serve that
good.
consumer? Because I know there's like the 55 plus that my mother-in-law was in. They had like cords in the bathroom and the bedroom, but even though there were cords there, we still got her something similar.
Right. Yeah, I try to hit the facilities. I found that going, like, bluntly speaking, no one wants to admit that they need these things. Women are more sensible about it than most of the customers. I mean, it's like 99% female to 1% male. There's a reason women live longer. So, the men are too stubborn. It's a joke, but it is true. Men will never get these things. And maybe as a generation, I mean, when I was putting these in, you're catering to the people that grew up in World War I and the Second World War. Now, like, people that, like, I've grown up with technology, so when I get older, I've always had video games and tech, like that sort of thing. So I understand the importance of technology. I mean, it'd be, like, I know I put one in for a lady who fell on her bathtub one Friday evening, and she wasn't discovered until Monday morning by her nurse. And most of these people, a lot of them don't have family or they don't live nearby. So this woman for like 2 days, spent her life in the bathtub, cold, naked, wet, afraid, hungry, and it's like one of these could have got, I mean, she could have been out of that situation in minutes.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point, because my mother-in-law did fall in the bathroom as well. But the thing is that she was in the bathroom, and I don't know if she would have, is that waterproof? I don't know if she would have taken it with her, or.
So, the trouble with the waterproof ones, they get all yucky looking because they never get clean and you have soap build up. So I always tell people is like, keep this. Most accidents occur, and it's the same story over and over again. Bathrooms are obvious. It doesn't matter what age or who you are. Bathrooms are dangerous. They're slippery, particularly tubs you get in kitchens. And it's always the same story. I dropped my plate. I went to go pick it up, and they just kept on going. So in a wet environment, it's good to have it nearby. I mean, you could take it, put it over your towel rack. If you need it, you can yank it down. They do have a wireless fixed button that you can mount in there, but as long as they have it near, or even set it like on the toilet with the cover down, preferably. So if you do fall, you are at least. I mean, if you're unconscious and you can't move, you're done either way. But at least if you're a little bit mobile, you can hit this.
Right. So the best scenario is to have it on your person.
Right.
If not on your person, then within potential arm's reach.
And they're very light. I mean, this is a lot lighter than a smartphone, and you get used to carrying things. So, yeah.
And what about customer support? If you're on the retail end of it, so to speak, you're directly with the consumer, how much training and or introductory support do you provide, and then how much is incumbent upon the company? How much, your finite time, how much do you have to spend on that?
Nothing really. Once I program it, so I program everything and let it sit. I try to let it sit 24 hours so it gets a full charge. All the customer has to do, there's instructions, is plug in your base charger, stick this in until it turns blue, and then you're good to go. And you try not to, I try to deal with the people on the care list. So people that, it's like I said, you're giving these to people that aren't doing too great. So you don't want to burden them with too many things. So by going to someone on the care team that, you know, they're removed from it a little bit so they understand. So yeah, basically we mail that to them and they plug it in for a second and it's good to go. But there's nothing they need to do from that point other than stick it in the charger.
I like the care team scenario. That's cool.
And it's great because it gets text messages. They make a different version of this that does have the GPS and you can live track it from an app. The downside with that, and I try not to promote it, I get 6 months battery life off of this. The other version is the Bell Plus, you get a week. So for me, and my manufacturer told me, he's like, look, the other one, he goes, I'm trying to sell you a less expensive product. That's what we use more. Because people, they'll play with the app for the week to see where mom or dad is, and then they forget about it. And then you're paying a lot of money for something that you don't use. Whereas this one, for me, it's all about function. So, like, I'd rather have this battery last for months at a time than to deal with an issue of them forgetting to put it in every week. Because then when they have to do something on a weekly basis or even a daily basis, that's where it becomes inconvenient to them, or they forget. I don't want them to look at this as their enemy. And sometimes in the old days, especially, you're walking into a hostile environment because when I would show up, that would be the first time they knew something was happening, which isn't a fun place to be with them. But yeah, so that's it. Any other question?
Do they have any other form factors? Something a little more stylish?
No.
I'm thinking that, like my mother-in-law, she's getting up in age and approaching 80, and she pushed back on getting hearing aids because she didn't want people to see her wearing hearing aids. Having the big thing around her neck, walking around, and
Right.
she's not going to want that. She's going to want something hidden or
Well, I always
like
recommend
something jewelry or something like that.
you can under the shirt.
Or you could pave it and turn it into a fashion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've seen that. Like you get the units back, and there'd be a fancy string, and there'd be like jewels on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's small enough you can keep it in your pocket too. I generally try to recommend around the neck, is in the pockets. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be elderly yet, but I know what it's like to be in the 40s, and sometimes you grab something and you knock it out of your pocket. Or the old ones used to have belt clips, and I remember when I used to wear my cell phone you go lean down, your knee hits it, it pops off. It's great if it falls here, but like if you're in the grass, you don't even know it fell. So yeah, none of these are like going to win any fashion awards, but
So there's no like aftermarket accessory companies doing anything for these.
I'm sure you could do what you want, particularly the string. But the string's designed
It's a breakaway.
breakaway, so you don't have to worry about strangulation or getting caught, or if they're leaning down in something and this gets caught into something that doesn't pull them into it.
Oh, so there's no function in the breakaway itself for
Just magnet.
sending a signal?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay, all right.
Like some of those old units were like a string around their neck, so like if you got, I don't know how you would get it caught in, but if you did, like you were getting pulled down,
Yeah.
that string wouldn't break.
So tell us about, because I assume this is a very similar business model to Westminster Security, which is your other company, where are you purchasing, or are you also leasing equipment from another manufacturer and reselling it?
Yeah, we lease these. I find most people don't ever need to purchase these because not to sound grim, but these are usually short-term solutions. Whereas a security system, you might have it for 20 years, 30 years. So for the customer, a lease is a nice thing because they pay one monthly fee, and that's it. There's no service calls, maintenance, or anything. It's all. I try to make it as simple and turnkey for them as possible.
And do you have to compete with the manufacturer for direct sales?
I don't. That's the nice thing about this is that there isn't really any local competition on the security, and local I mean like within the East Coast.
Okay.
Like in the older days, you could type when it was normal to have a medical pendant on your security system. Then competition was any security company, but most of the guys have strayed out of this industry, and I understand why. Because like if it weren't for this product, I wouldn't be in it because there isn't anything really that great out. There is Lifeline, Life Alert. I mean, they've merged. They use a product by Philips, Magnavox. That is a good product, but it's proprietary, so only they can get it. So.
But I can't go to Bell or Freus website to
And
buy
buy it,
one of
no.
these. Okay, all right. So there's a blue ocean opportunity for you then in this market.
Right. It's been slow getting started. I've joined local organizations. There's some great ones called COGS and Spin's local here, Senior Provider Information Network. Because it's easier to go towards, like I said, the facilities people. Because if someone's selling something, particularly the older generation, they're used to the snake oil guys that would sell them, rubbish products. So when I go in and as a facilities manager says, hey, look, you need one of these, they tend to believe them. It takes me out of the position of being a salesperson, which I never want to be a salesperson. So Sure.
We actually ordered one of these for my dad, the medical alert. So that was online, so if I've ordered it, am I going through you? I have no idea.
Probably not. I'm not set up for e-commerce yet.
Okay.
It's still the old-fashioned call in and,
Okay.
you know.
This was years ago, so I'm not really sure.
And you might have had one of our older systems.
Yeah, we did, and then we upgraded it to the, Which has been great so far. He's 91, and he hasn't had to really use it.
So as a sample size of one, it's 100% male.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I recall like only a handful of male
That'd be fortunate.
customers. Well, one told me he's 90 years old, poor old guy, lived down in Baltimore City, no family. And that's where I learned to pre-activate these, because by the time I made it from Baltimore to here, he already used it. It was back when I got a page, so I had to stop and pull over and give them information. There wasn't cell phones yet. But he's like, you ever called these the golden years? He goes, they're full of, he goes, there's nothing golden about this.
Was there more to your
No,
comment?
I was wondering if I was going through him, because I used it just online.
Do you plan on doing e-commerce?
Eventually, I honestly don't know how to set that up, so.
So you would need help with
Yes.
something.
So what are we looking at now? Who's that?
That's my webpage.
Okay.
So it's independent of the Westminster security webpage. I do have it merged in like down lower, I was told, and the logic as to why I wasn't told that, but I was told you wanted to be different from a security company with
Yeah.
this.
That is true.
Yeah.
Some security companies have bad reputations, particularly contracts and that sort of thing, and I don't want to scare these people. Like this doesn't give them peace of mind, not worried.
So when you refer to e-commerce, you just mean that you can't actually place an order and sign up with a credit card on this website.
Right.
Obviously, you've got a storefront here, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and you can take orders through what, email or phone?
Email or phone,
Okay.
right? Yeah, because in order to do it online, I'd have to not only get the e-commerce, but the care list is the important thing, because I won't mail these out until we have everything complete, so it's live, so all they have to do is wear it when they get it. Because people tend to put off, I see that on the alarm side, you put in the alarm system, then they never register it with the county, and then there's fines that occur, or they forget to fill out the information, so everything's done prior, so then stuff gets forgotten about, but it's a lot easier to do it before than after.
Is there a reason to do an e-commerce site in terms of demand? Like, would it actually help increase sales if you had functionality?
I'm unsure about that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a slow launch. I mean, I launched it during COVID, which was great because I had a downtime. Like I built the website myself, so it was great for that. But like, you can't. I couldn't get in front of my audience because we weren't allowed. So I've been marketing my own customers, and I've had a few sales off of them. And it's a great. I like it because it's helping people. Security helps people too, and fire, but you get an immediate sensation of helping someone. I mean, a lot of it's sad. Like, one guy pressed a button because he couldn't find his wife, and she passed away 10 years prior. So you hear a lot of these sad stories, but and for some of these people, like that might be their only communication to the outside world. So like talking to someone. In the old days when you put these in, it takes like 10 minutes to install a unit. The call would take you like an hour or two because you're listening to stories, which is fine. I don't mind. I'm a history buff, so it's nice to hear how people lived prior. So.
Any other questions?
We have 3 questions on Facebook,
Oh.
all from Tamara Osterman.
Okay.
She asks about other markets, people with autism, dementia, etc., whose loved ones worry about wandering.
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, as a dealer, I can mail these anywhere in the United States. The dementia can be a little tough because they might not remember what this is for. In autism, it's not quite set up for police or panic type of a device. They might evolve into that, but certainly I've always told people you don't always think that when you press the button you need to get paramedics or a hospital dispatch. If you feel frightened, they're scared. I told them you could use this for anything except ordering a pizza. So if you need to talk to someone, or you need advice, or if you feel like a weakness coming about, that you could press the button and you have help one way or the other. It helps if you could talk too. Like, so if you could tell them, hey, look, I don't feel well, I'm out of breath, or I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm having a panic attack. You can at least get help.
Okay, and she also asks, could you offer a trial to a facilities resident?
Sure.
Okay. And finally, back to the fashion conversation, could it be made into a bracelet?
Well, I know like big watches are the fashion, but yeah, that might, well, maybe that way. I mean, there are a lot of creative people out there. I don't have that kind of talent, so I think like with any other piece of technology, it's going to get smaller and smaller.
Well, so as a reseller, you have the advantage to be able to sort of get other products to add
Right.
to supplement to this line. So this could be it's just your only product right now for medical alert MD. Is that correct?
Correct. There aren't a whole lot.
So then, could
yes.
you also diversify into the sort of medical smart home market by offering like other smart sensors for the home, or like a central command center or something like that?
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, that'd be very similar to what I do on the security side now. Like on the security side, you have access control, so anywhere in the world you can let someone in your building, you can track them through cameras. Yeah, so all of that, I think in the next 10 or 15 years is going to be all gelled together. I mean, it can be done now, but it's at a very high-end level, like you're dealing with like state of Maryland, so you deal with the product, so if someone comes to the door, you can tell who it is. You can tell who's on your property. The analytics, cameras have gotten as good as they're, I think, going to get. It's all the analytics of what you do with the data now. I mean, you can track if you want to see someone wearing a blue shirt, you can filter out, okay, who came in this place with a blue shirt. And then you can tell, okay, the camera back here, I want to see where she went on my campus. So, yeah, that's the Chinese, and all the technology comes from China, and they're really good at it. They're the best. I know
Because they're paranoid.
Yes, and I know they're listening, but big fan of China. No, over there, like they have facial recognition, and you can tell their face and the cadence, the way you walk. So, and of course, like anything, it could be, you can get around it, but it's really hard. Like over there, they use it if you jaywalk or public urination, they just fine you for it. It's hard to, here you are. So, and I think once that'll all, I remember when I was on a magic project, when it first came around with Dr. Wack, we were talking about that, but with the home, like you
Right.
can walk up to a section and get your blood pressure taken, your temperature, and all that, and I don't see why this couldn't be.
Well, because I think in the later years of that project, they also developed Arduino sensors that would like listen for the sound of someone falling, or listen, or major temperature changes in the house.
So, yeah, even so, the other version of this does have a shock sensor in it. But the trouble is, like, now that's a phone call.
Right.
Yeah, with the cameras, I haven't promoted it because I'm still in my testing phase. It's a product we use on the security side called Alarm.com. You guys have it at Magic, but they have a medical camera, and it just you create like visual walls. So if it detects a body move, like the size of a body on the ground, it senses that someone fell, and you can pop in and talk back and forth. The trouble, it's a hard sell because people, whether it's security or medical, don't want interior cameras in their house. I'm a big fan of it because, like, from a security standpoint, unless there's a door hanging open or you see obvious signs of glass, you're only bound to what you see on the outside, whereas the inside you can see, oh wait, it was my window that came crashing open and knocked over the planter, which we had happen the other day. So,
Yeah, that's one.
so it's nice to see interior cameras because that's where ultimately they're going to be inside, whether it's a patient or a criminal. So,
Any other questions?
When you push the button and someone answers, who is that answering?
it's a central station, so they're backed up. There's like 3 or 4 of them. It's through the company bell. So they support all that. So they have, when you press the button, it pops up, so they know who they're talking to, they know their call list, they know any possible conditions that they might have.
Okay. So they're trained to answer,
Right.
to talk to the people before calling emergency
Right.
services.
They're not 911 where they're going to try to help or diagnose anything. Their goal is speed. So like if you're having a stroke, they don't need to hear your life story. It's important to dispatch because time's of the essence. So
Are the call centers in the U.S.? Do you have?
they are.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pricing wise, where does this fit in? Because as you're talking, I'm thinking this is a great idea if it's more cost effective than say an Alexa. I never had an Alexa before. I bought an Alexa, and lo and behold, she can hear me from the other room. So the potential of Alexa, I fell, call somebody versus this. Help me understand price points.
One Alexa is only in your house. This is everywhere.
This is where we
Yeah, but the way that Alexa works is, that's a great analogy, is the old medical alert systems were like that, a sensitive mic. And it was crazy because people would never believe this little microphone is going to hear you in a big house. But I mean, it was crazy scary what could have been done in the 90s with that stuff. But this is $30 a month, and that's it. No, we do a 3-month quarterly contract, if you will. And then it's month to month. There's no installation charge or really anything.
Okay.
So yeah, I try to keep it like because most of these people, I mean, we're all on budgets to a certain degree, but when you're not working and you're on government assistance, there's no opportunity for anything. So they're on very fixed and tight budgets. So it's just easier to keep it. I'm a big fan of it's nicer to go not treat every customer like they're your last one. So by keeping the prices lower, you tend to get more.
Right, and do you find that the support system around this person will tend to pay for that? Like
Typically, right. And what is nice too about the support system is people that know to look. This is called an MPERS, and it's a specific name. So the people that are looking for this kind of know what technology is. They understand the need of charging and routine maintenance, as far as charging really, and testing. I'm a big fan of testing, even though it tests itself. It does do a cellular test, but I like that a customer can push the button and hear it. It gives them peace of mind, plus it works.
Do you have any capital requirements in terms of growing this business, or is it pretty much self-sustainable already?
Pretty much self-sustainable. I mean, all I had to do to really start up was become affiliated with that central station and buy the product. Nothing that I'm not already doing.
Do they give you exclusivity in certain territories?
No, but there aren't a whole lot of dealers. I think there's a dealer up in New Jersey and in Florida, obviously Arizona, but
All the old people.
But as I found out, like even in Westminster, we have a very high senior population here. Yeah, the hardest thing is trying to get the older generation to understand technology. I mean, we all hear the jokes of like when the kids come over and the grandparents, here, get this working for me. And they're afraid, and I get it. Like no one wants change, especially if you're older and not doing well. Like it's not the time to learn. But like there's nothing, like anybody can push a button. So there isn't a learning curve or anything. It's just a habit. Like wear it. And a lot of these older people too. Like the 80-year-olds now are a lot different than the 80-year-olds in the 90s. Like these people now have cell phones, smartphones. They know what Instagram is and Facebook. So you are getting a different generation, and so I think that'll be a little bit easier.
Any other questions for Brad?
We have one more on Facebook from Tamar, and I think you touched on this briefly earlier, but does it know precisely where you are?
Within a certain, about like 30 meters, it knows where they are.
And then if you have a pacemaker, is there any issue with wearing it right there in terms of any kind of cellular, I don't know.
That's a good question. I haven't been told that, so I don't think so. I mean, they could always try. That's a joke. It's a joke. Don't try.
Any other questions?
Just our standard last question.
Yeah.
What,
Go ahead.
what can our community do for you?
I need to know how to get this out to people. Security is easy for me to sell. One, we're established for 40 some years, but like this is not. And usually, like I found by going to events like this, Chamber of Commerce, and I really feel COVID was the one, because these organizations like COGS and SPIN are great organizations, but when you can't do anything really off Zoom, it's hard. So, I mean, it's a great thing, but it's different to meet people. And I'm all about the relationship, not the short term. So it's nice to develop, because it's easier to sell something when it's a referral. I'm in BNI, so it's a networking group, and I don't like salespeople at all. Even in my security company, I don't really use any, because all they care about is earning a commission, and that doesn't benefit me in the long run or my customers. So it's nicer to get warm referrals from people. It's a lot easier to move product that way. I don't know.
Well, when I used to sell Brinksome security systems,
Right.
we would always ask for 3 referrals at the end of that
Right.
sales process. Are you doing anything like that to get those referrals?
No.
Seems like something you could do.
That was a good idea.
Yeah, some referrals right here.
Does anybody have any referrals? No, I don't like asking from people. Maybe it might be my personality, but I don't ever. I've seen some pushy salespeople, and no one ever likes those guys. And I should say, good salespeople are hard to find. You can find anyone who'll try to sell you rubbish all day long. Yeah, I try not to be pushy or even. I don't know. It's a fine line, because it's like I just sold them a product. Now I'm asking for more, and I don't want to appear greedy.
Well, but there's a way to market that too. Like
Right.
CarMax does that well in terms of marketing that they aren't pushy and they aren't salespeople. And meanwhile, they absolutely are. But they figured out the way to kind of spin that. You could probably benefit from some of that kind of.
I have done it on the security sides. I mean, we put in whether an email attachment or when we give them the system, it's a referral. It does say if you have any, you get a lead, a credit on your account for X amount, depending on. But I don't push it. I don't know. I guess it was always hard. It's always an awkward thing in sales, is to ask for money. So.
Well, for marketing purposes, though, I would think that getting some testimonials on your website from
Right.
current customers would be a nice sort of, again, for people who are coming inbound.
Sure. Yeah.
And then, sharing the sort of success stories, if you have any, that, I don't know if it's the kind of thing where you can go to the media, with some statistics or, develop thought leadership in this category. And I know for a long time they were calling this the silver tsunami of the baby boomers entering this market, specifically this what you're doing, and the huge opportunity that there would be. So I'd imagine at some point there's going to be frequent media attention on this subject for whatever reason, and positioning yourself as like a thought leader on the topic, because you're natural in front of people and easy to talk to. So I think there's an opportunity there to maybe I don't know. Your wife actually is more of an expert in sales and marketing than I am, and she probably has some good ideas.
Yes, which I should have given to you so that he'd listen.
So listen to your wife, I guess.
Yes, that would be the right.
Well, that's good to do all around.
All right.
Walking into that one.
All right. Well, thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Do you have any other shout outs, updates from anybody in the room who wants to get up?
See if they're right. You've got an event tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. So we have,
Yeah, okay.
you want to come up and tell us?
All right, I got my handy mug, because we're running out of cups. So tomorrow evening, we're doing the Chamber PM after hours from 4 to 6. And obviously, if you're not signed up, everyone here is welcome.
Oh, here at Starbucks.
At Startup Portal, right? Yeah, so, and we also have, I think we may be up to our limit, I think, with the photographer, but have someone in the back doing headshots. So you come a little dressed up, get your headshot. I haven't updated mine in 15 years, so there was no gray hair back then. So, yeah, so 4 to 6. We're gonna move the chairs around, put some additional tables, kind of like we did a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic for opening. So,
Door prizes?
oh yes, the prize. The main prize is a crayon from Infinite Love
Oh, nice.
with the Maryland flag.
Oh, the one you said.
So we have it over there delivered today. Thank you,
nice.
Tina.
Yeah.
So that's where you dropping your business card. So yeah, so it should be fun, a little different. We're hopefully without masks and getting past the pandemic, but obviously if you have a temperature, don't come in. So should be fun. Just let us know if you're not signed up with the chamber. Let us know. Let Nick know so we can make sure you're on the list as everybody comes in. So so we're kind of having a party. Which is nice. Getting back to the real world. The person who does all our designs, she lives in Valencia, and I guess that in next month they have a street festival. I forget what she calls it, but it's like they're getting back to actually having festivals. She's
In
like, I'm
Spain?
taking off in Spain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's texting me, hey, I'm not available. I'm gonna be at the festival.
Wow, nice.
It's about time. So so we're having a little festival here. So
Nice.
all right. Any questions?
Do we food?
Food?
Yeah.
Yes, we have a little food, a little drink. So, yes, is it Beth? The charcuterie
Yes.
lady.
Yay.
Is,
Cheers to snacks.
Cheers to Snacks is going to be part of the food as
Oh.
well. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, so a little bit different. Trying to keep it local, as Mike from the Chamber says. So, good stuff. All
Excellent.
right, thank you.
Any other updates? Any Ting updates? Do you want to do a magic update?
No, you can do it.
All right. Well, I'll just open up the calendar real quick. We have a lot going on right now at Magic, actually. We're getting, we acquired this kit from MIT called Duckytown, which is this kit that, actually I should probably go there first. So Duckytown, and actually it's nice that Carl Ladler from DDT is here because he's the one that told us about Duckytown. Duckytown is this project out of MIT to basically teach and test autonomous vehicle technologies at a scale that's sort of manageable in a classroom setting. So you can kind of see some video here. This is the camera's perspective of the autonomous vehicle. It's about this big. They call it a DuckyBot. It rides on 2 motorized wheels and then individual motors and then a little like caster that sort of spins on. And this is an example of the sort of the feedback it receives and the dashboard display that you can set up on your Linux machine to monitor its progress, and you can kind of see how it's sort of putting bounding boxes on the different elements that it sees and recognizes. Anyway, this is all part of our Autonomous Corridor project to teach these autonomous concepts and these systems to kids here locally. So in our new space at 38 West Main Street, which is next door to Jeannie Bird Baking Company, if you look in the window, you will see something that looks just like this set up on the floor right now as we're our interns, Cody's one of them, he's sitting here today with us, are setting it up and actually connecting with the robot and getting it to run autonomously. You just got to run autonomously for the first time yesterday. So big success. Good job, Cody. So this is something that we're working on. We're developing we want to develop some educational programming around it. We also want to build it out, and we are going out to sponsors about creating a much larger version of this. We have like a 6 foot 10 by 10 foot version of this on the floor right now, but they make them, I don't know, like 30, 40 feet wide. I mean, you can get them, they're modular. You can make them as expansive as you want, but they actually sell kits that come with like 8 or 12 of these bots, and enough tiles for your floor, and little smart intersection lights, and enough rubber duckies to last you for days. Like, you can see them all lined up in a row. They really do send you a bag full of rubber duckies. And we want to create it as like a big community destination, for kids to come out and learn about autonomous technology, and maybe incorporate some trains into it and do a big sort of holiday train garden with autonomous robots that get to drive around the trains. So that's something that we're working on. And then at Magic, we've got our hackathon coming up, which is
April 1st through the 3rd.
April 1st to the 3rd. Thank you, at Carroll Community College. And prior to that, we have our Business Risk Conference. Yes, so not this Friday, but next Friday, March 4th, is this. It's a cybersecurity seminar that we are hosting at Carroll Community College with the college. Lots of great keynotes and panel discussions, including Carl also from DDT will be there on the panel about autonomous manufacturing discussion as it relates to cybersecurity. So we'll have Ron Gula from Gula Tech Adventures coming out from Howard County. He's one of our keynotes. John Funge from Data Tribe, which is a big venture capital group for cybersecurity startups, is also going to be speaking, and Dr. Philip Moulton from, previously of Colfax Corporation. He's under NDA right now with wherever he's going next, so we're not allowed to say. But anyway, he'll be there talking about risk management. And then we're going to do a VIP reception at Old Westminster Winery afterwards. So if you want to get in on that action, you have to come talk to me or Kim or Gabby and see about getting an invite. That's a separate registration process. And it's very limited in terms of how many people we can bring to Old Westminster Winery. So it should be a lot of fun, great networking opportunities for anyone who has anything to do with risk management or cybersecurity, especially any small businesses that maybe don't even think that they need anything to do with cybersecurity. That's who this conference is really for. Then we have our game development workshops starting up to teach Unity and C# on March 4th. These will be all virtual on Zoom with our instructor, Mick Mancuso. And we are also helping out with an Arduino for Beginners workshop that's going to be run by our founder, Dr. Robert Wack, from the Medical Smart Home Project that we mentioned earlier. So that'll be hosted at the library. Magic is coordinating the registration for it and helping with the getting volunteers set up for that. So that's starts March 29th and runs through June 7th. And then our big hackathon for app development and business pitching ideas from students is April 1st to the 3rd at Carroll Community College. Followed then by our Capture the Flag event, which is our big cybersecurity competition, biannual cybersecurity competition on April 30th. Anyway, any questions about any of the stuff that Magic is doing? And be sure to swing by our new location and see all the stuff that's in our windows, and we have new furniture coming in. We can kind of sit and relax and hang out. Carl?
So on the ducky tail, can you replace the plastic ducks with
Marshmallow peeps?
Already had that conversation.
Great minds think alike. No, we're thinking about how can we tie this into Peeps, because for those of you who don't know, Westminster has the annual Peep Show that the Carroll Arts Center puts on that brings out like 10,000 people to Westminster for their event. And they had it at the mall last year because of COVID, so they could spread out. I don't know if they're going to have it back at the Carroll Arts Center.
It's at the mall
It's gonna be at the mall
again.
again,
It's in a different area, but it's still at the mall.
Oh, okay. All at the mall.
Registration is open.
It is. Okay, registration. Okay, so this is turning into a Peep Show. So, hold on. For those who don't know, hold on. If I Google Peep Show, I might get some undesirable results. Yeah, but here is the website for the Peep Show. So in case you really couldn't follow what we were talking about, literally we're talking about marshmallow peeps. They make sculpture. It's sort of a challenge for people to create sort of artistic interpretations and sculptures out of marshmallow peeps. And the company that manufactures the peeps in Pennsylvania donates like all these like stale Peeps, right?
Some of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a half and half.
Oh, okay,
You have to
so-
like be plugged in to do that.
So they have
Get
some
that
some
part of it.
amount of inventory that I think you can, if you maybe on a first come first serve, you can get some from
Yeah, I
the.
think so. Because I haven't plugged into that part of it.
So yes, this is April 8th to the 18th. So it's a lot of fun.
So we're gonna have autonomous peeps.
Wow, hey, we could have DDT autonomous peep sculpture. Peep display. So yeah, so yes, could our computer vision be updated to respond to marshmallow peeps instead of rubber duckies? I think so. I think that makes a lot of sense for Westminster.
They do have a video entries for the peep show.
Oh, okay. Oh, great.
We might have to really think that one.
Magic
through.
should submit one.
We should.
Or maybe we could submit together.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I like that idea better. All right, any other updates from the community before we wrap up? All right, Tina, do you want to take us away?
Yeah, it's great to see everybody here. Thank you for joining us here at the Startup Portal for the 1 Million Cups event every Wednesday. Thank you to Jeannie Bird for the Go-Go Juice and the Yummies. And thank you to Magic for putting this all together as usual. It's an amazing community. I'm so grateful that we get to talk to people in the community that I may never have known about because they have a like mind and they want to figure out business and connect, and everybody wins. Everybody helps each other. It's so cool. So we are 1 Million Cups. Sometimes we have one presenter, sometimes we have two, and next week it could be you. Go to 1mc1millioncups.com/Westminster and click apply to present. And so hopefully we'll see you here next week. Have a great week, everyone.